Hi, I'm Patty with Studio R12 Stencils. We are going to show you all of the really groovy techniques in this project over the next 3 videos. You'll want to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you get notified. You're not going to want to miss a thing. There's so much good stuff in this. All right, we are going to use DecoArt's weathered wood to do the crackle technique on this project. And the crackle technique on here is very subtle. We have crackle that's super high contrast, like when you use like black and white. And this is using a tone on tone, but it adds to the depth. You're gonna love this technique. Let's get started. I've rolled a black background on my project. This is acrylic paint. It's water-based paint, whatever you have on hand. When I do the top coat for the crackle, I'm going to use DecoArt's paint only because it almost always works better when you are using the same brands when you're using crackle mediums. So that's not really a hard and fast rule, but it's gonna make you more successful, and I prefer to do that. So we're going to put out a good portion of weathered wood. Okay, and the reason I call it weathered wood is because it is to look like you have a weathered paint, like it's been out in the elements and stuff like that. I'm going to use a dry foam brush. This is a poly foam brush, and it has a nice dense texture to it, so it will smear our weathered wood really nicely. Okay, so we're gonna take and pick up a good amount. This isn't actually, you don't need a thick coat, but it's a thick product, so you kind of pick it up and then you smear it around with a nice dense smearing tool. I dribbled some right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that. I've got one prepped, and I wanna show you kind of what we're going for. If you can see the reflection of this, I've got parts that are matte or where it is not applied. There's not really a rhyme or reason. You just wanna do it kind of randomly, and don't do it too patternly. And you don't want it sitting there really thick, so I'm gonna smear that out. Pick it up, smear it around, keep your sleeves out of your product. So we'll do that. Don't know why I wear bell sleeves when I'm going to be smearing. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit liney, so I'm gonna go ahead and give a little bit in the middle there. Just don't want a pattern. And we don't want it tends to pull back on itself, so you wanna make sure you really don't let it do that. So if you see it pulling back and making like a pool, you wanna go ahead and smear it around a little bit more. And then this product will dry. This medium is a medium that will have a conflict with the medium in the paint itself. So you want to, it will actually crack whenever. So you can let this dry, you can have it like a year later, and you're going to put your paint on top of it. And then whatever that chemical reaction is going to allow the paint to crackle. Okay, and that's our prep. I look for anything pulling back. This one right here looks like it's pulling back. Smear that out. This one's kind of looking thickish. Anything thickish will pull and make like a circle crackle, and I don't like that myself. So add a couple more, look for anything I don't like. And then we let this dry. It takes about an hour or so to dry. So we're gonna just set this off to the side. You can heat set this, but like why? Just set it aside, go base coat something else, and get ready for your next project, right? All right, we're ready for step 2. We've got our crackle on and we're all ready to go. What I'm going to do, I've got a deep burgundy in DecoArt Americana. Deep burgundy is not going to look like this color if I just put it on by itself. So I'm going to mix a little bit of soft black. So it's kind of got a purpley kind of black tinge to it. So I'm gonna give it, probably, I'm gonna put it off to the side. You always mix your dark in tenderly because you never know how it's gonna affect your paint. I think I'm gonna need that whole bit. I am. You notice I have a lot of paint on my palette. Okay, the reason I have a lot is I really want some thick, gnarly cracks. Okay, that's how we describe those cracks, right? Gnarly. I think that's a nice, dirty, deep burgundy. And we'll just take our palette knife. Notice that my palette knife is offset. That's so I'm not running my fingers through my paint. Okay, so that is a really good tip. Wipe that off. I'm going to use my oval glaze, and then I'm going to methodically work my way from the top across and down You do not want to muddle in your Crackle medium. This is going to have a chemical reaction. I'm going to put this down. It's immediately going to start reacting. If I muddle, got an example here. If I muddle in this, if I painterly mess with it, it's going to make really small cracks. If I put it on and leave it alone, it's going to make these nice jumbo cracks. If I muddle in it and brush over the actively cracking thing, it's going to just make a smear and it's going to be ugly. Now, I can go on top of it with another layer. I don't want to do that, so I'd rather do it right the first time. So anyway, that's 3 things that you can play around with. So I'm going to pick up paint and I'm picking it up thick, okay? And I'm going to bring it over here and I'm just going to lay it down, try not to go over my edges. And you can see I have touched that a couple of times. Okay, so we'll go here. But I get in and get out, and for whatever reason, I haven't been able to figure this out. When I base coat, I can't get paint to self-level. But when I'm doing Crackle medium, it's, oh, I bet a goober. Let's get that out of there. When I'm doing Crackle medium, it self-levels. So it has to probably do something with the Crackle. I don't know. Okay, I've got a little splash down here. Like I'm really putting this on thick. I feel like I'm doing a Broadway version of Crackle medium with all the schmaltz. Okay, so we'll go here. Just tapping and touching it, barely moving the paint. Okay, and then we continue this all the way down the board. The temptation, if you are going down the board and you're running out of paint like I am, the temptation is going to be to start making it like go around a little bit better with it. So you're going to be like, oh, maybe not so much. These cracks are going to be super huge, and then these cracks are going to be really tiny, and you're going to be a little sad. So we're just going to stop. So I'm not feeling that panic, and we're going to mix a little bit more. I'd rather throw a little paint away than start all over. All right, we're gonna let this dry, and you'll wanna make sure to check out part 2 so that you can see what we do to make this have a gnarly, distressed, antique, vintage background. You're gonna love it.